I caught my wife did it with my best friend. She even had the nerve to send me Bible verses on forgiveness. Part 2. I returned to work because I needed to be occupied. Distracting myself has definitely helped me deal, and I don't drink as much as I used to. I got a letter from Sue one day at work. I was about to toss it away when I decided to read it. She discussed her individual therapy and how it helped her find some underlying difficulties with herself. The most significant of them is her poor self-esteem. She confessed that the disparity in our appearance made her extremely self-conscious, and that deep down she wanted to be desired by someone other than me. Her sister, she claims, has always been considerably attractive than her, which has led to her poor self-esteem. She said that, despite the fact that she was aware that I was drawn to her and that I made her feel attractive, she sought reinforcement from someone else. She apologized once again, saying it wasn't an excuse and that she was merely searching for a method to ensure it never happened again if I choose to give her another opportunity. She then asked if we might attempt marital therapy to help us work things out. At this time, I had yet to react to anything she or her family had given me. As a result, I just disregarded it. Anyway, I initiated the divorce process, and the first order of business was to divide our funds, which I couldn't do without her approval. We both have individual accounts, as well as a joint savings account, and I'm unable to withdraw what I'm entitled to without her. Despite the fact that I earn substantially more than she does, and have contributed the most to the money in that account, I'll most likely have to share it with her 50/50. Therefore, I just filed the divorce papers. She was served a few weeks ago, and the monkey show began shortly after. She arrived at my residence with the divorce petition in her hands on the same day she was served. I'm not sure how she discovered where I was. We simply gazed at one another for what seemed like an eternity, and all the sorrow from that night returned. All of my feelings returned with fresh strength. I nearly burst into tears again, but I didn't. She seemed to be weeping as she raised towards me and attempted to embrace me. I gently pulled her away, and she burst out laughing. She began yelling, wondering why I was giving up on us so quickly and if we couldn't simply talk it out. I assumed I simply wanted to get away from her at this point. Looking at her made me feel a variety of emotions, so I wanted to get away before I did or said something I would later regret. When I attempted to return to my vehicle, she flung herself on the hood. I asked her what she wanted, and she replied she simply wanted to speed things out, that we couldn't terminate our marriage in such a way until we cleared the air. I gave in since she was obviously not accepting no for an answer and was causing a commotion. When we arrived at my place, I just sat down and listened to what she had to say. She said once again that she would do everything to salvage our marriage, that she does not love Dave, and that she is sorry. She said that she'd done some study on how we may proceed and proposed a trial separation. During this separation, she told me that I could date anybody I wanted, but that I should postpone the divorce to allow her the opportunity to restore our friendship, and eventually our marriage. She proposed a one-sided open marriage in my favor, attempted to show me examples of other couples who had survived infidelity, and even recommended that we simply relocate to a new state or even a foreign country, just the two of us. That portion saddened me a little since we had spoken about relocating and raising a family not long before all of this occurred. When she was through, we simply sat there in quiet, staring at one another. I then inquired as to why. Why is he there? Why would she cheat on me with him and then return just after I caught her? When I posed these questions, she burst into tears. She said that she felt very bad even while doing the actions, but she didn't know how to stop. That she was so engrossed in the affair that he didn't consider the implications or what she would lose. She said that the therapy helped her understand that she would have cheated on me at some time, if not with Dave, then with someone else. This was meant to be due to the same underlying concerns that were making me uncomfortable. Then it sprang out. She stated she found out she was pregnant not long after I left and had an abortion since she didn't know who the father was. She said that if it was Dave's, there would be no possibility for reconciliation, and she felt compelled to do it. What I was hearing was unbelievable. I was taken aback, and she began pleading with me not to let this be the end of our relationship. I just got numb. I requested her to go, but she pleaded with me to remain. That we still needed to chat. All of this pleading was just frustrating, especially in light of the news I had just learned. When I asked her how far along she was when she found out she was pregnant, she responded she was just a few weeks. Then it dawned on me. Wait, you said in an email that you just began having sex with Dave approximately a week before I discovered it. Did you tell the truth? She gave a nod. She nodded, hiding her head. She said that she simply said that because she didn't want to offend me with the facts and was attempting to downplay the situation. She said that it had been physical for less than a month. She attempted to comfort me, but I pushed her away. I begged her to go and not return. She attempted to say something, but I simply yelled at her to go. She asked if we could chat after I digested everything, and I declined. I informed her that I had accepted a job in another state and would be relocating as soon as the divorce was finalized. In our state, there is a 2-month cool-off period after you file. I had previously intended to do this and was just finishing the details before resigning from my present position. At that moment, I had already given my employer notice. When she heard this, she burst into tears and pleaded once again. I told her she had to leave or I would call the cops. She grudgingly departed, and I sat on the floor, wondering where I had gone wrong. How did my marriage reach this position in such a short time? It simply didn't make sense to me. I was already very certain about the divorce, but after speaking with her, I was more certain than ever. Sue's repeated attempts to reach me were disregarded. However, a few days ago, on Thursday, I got a phone call from my mother informing me that Sue was in the hospital. She was reportedly hospitalized for medication misuse. Everything seemed like a nightmare. I'm still not sure how to comprehend it. What is the cause of all of this? Sue seemed to be okay when I saw her at the hospital, but she had been sent to a psychiatric unit. That's where things stand right now. I have no clue why she would do this, because the last time I saw her, she was sleeping. It aches because I still adore her, and I'm simply glad she's all right now. Given what's going on right now, I haven't been thinking about divorce. How do I even begin? There are definitely a lot of essential facts I'm leaving out, but included them would make this much too lengthy. I simply need advice on what I should do next. I was hoping that my previous update would be my final post on this subject, but here I am again. It's been roughly 8 months since my life devolved into a monkey show, and things are just getting worse. I won't go into depth, but I hope I can provide enough information to elicit some constructive input from you on here. You've been considerably more useful than you realize. Sue was in a severe mental condition the last time I blogged, but she recovered after some counseling. I was heartbroken for her, but I knew I couldn't remain. I know a lot of people have gotten through this type of situation, but I know how I feel. If I remained, I'd be doing more damage than good to myself and her. I'll never get over it, and I'm sure I'll be resentful for the rest of my life. We decided to split, but she insisted on keeping in touch, even if it was little. We split approximately a month ago after a rather straightforward divorce procedure. I relocated to the West Coast to start again, and things were finally looking up for me. But then I received another phone call from Sue's sister. Sue, to cut a long tale short, had a stroke. She is virtually entirely motionless on her left side and can hardly talk. I can't even express how upsetting it was to hear, much alone how sad I felt when I went to see her. She can resemble the person I remembered, and she constantly cried when she saw me. One of the most difficult aspects of this is that I can't help but feel responsible for what happened to her. People tell me it isn't, but I have a feeling it is. Even though her immediate family claims it isn't my fault, I detect some resentment from them whenever I communicate with them. When her aunt spotted me, she cursed me in front of everyone, and they all became quiet. They just instructed me to leave it alone and go about my business. Even though I wish I could simply go on, knowing how everything ended out still stings. I haven't spoken to Sue since she had the stroke, and her family won't allow me visit her because, supposedly, I stress her out. I don't even know the complete story since I don't have the legal right to know. I simply can't seem to get anything right. F me, I guess.